The Mighty Boosh is one of those shows that seems likely to have taken shape thanks to the right combination of hallucinogenic drugs and rancid coconut milk. Home to such endearingly, terrifyingly, insanely characters as a high-pitched fox with needles for fingers, and some kind of mutant fish frog with a lust for Baileys and jazz enthusiasts, 'tis only natural that the show's only reoccurring villain have a giant polo mint for a monocle and a cockney fetish.
Come with us now on a journey through time and space
to the world of the Mighty Boosh.
The Hitcher had been a member of Julian Barrett and Noel Fielding's bizarre wash of well-crafted nonsense since their third stage show in the year 2000, Auto Boosh, which led to them being greenlit for a radio series, which 3 years later led to them being granted the TV series.
I spent all last week driving contaminated swans to Fife, breaking their necks, throwing them on the floor, leaving a sachet of Lemsip and creeping off into the night.
In each of his short but sweet appearances, the self-proclaimed Sultan of Stump Fucking causes tribulations for the already turbulent lives of electro-puff Vince Noir and egotistical enthusiast of all that is lame, Howard Moon. According to Noel, who plays the character, he always enjoyed performing as the slightly creepy version of Jimmy Savile because he found it easy to get into the mindset of the character when he was hungover.
Do I look like a reasonable man or a peppermint nightmare?
The first one?
Wrong.
Apparently, the Hitcher's voice and mannerisms are a combination of his grandfather and Fagin, heavily suggesting that he enhanced a viewing of Oliver Twist by tripping on acid. Speaking of pre-existing characters, wouldn't the Spider-Man movie have been brilliant if the Hitcher had played the Green Goblin? Yes. Yes, it would have been.
I don't high-five people and I'll tell you why. 'Cause I'm fucking English, that's why!
In his televisual introduction, the Hitcher had a long thumb, a long nose, and a long chin. These prosthetics were discarded by the episode Eels.
Eels up inside out! Find an entrance where they can!
Not now, Nigel. This might have been because the year prior to this, his green-coloured skin was left out of the 2006 Mighty Boosh live show, to save time, as Noel Fielding of course had other characters to play who weren't suffering from radiation poisoning, which also accounts for the sparkly trousers the Hitcher was left to wear. The first series of the TV series was more or less a visual adaptation of the radio series, and in the episode Hitcher, Howard meets the Hitcher after he decides to give him a lift while out driving in the zoo's animal transporting van. Well, actually, he doesn't decide to give him a lift. Or rather, if he does, it is done off-screen.
What's that? A hitchhiker? Yeah, right, I'm going to stop for you in this dark wood. I don't think so.
Meanwhile, Vince, who is strolling through the woods of mortality, reunites with Brian Ferry, who raised him in a treehouse made of bus tickets, who warns of Baboo Yagu, the Green Man Witch.
Some say he is the devil himself. Others say he is a man, pretending to be the devil.
Baboo Yagu and his box smeared with polos remains motionless until Howard comments on his massive thumb.
You want to know about my thumb, dear boy? Intrigue you, does it, boy?
Baboo was born with a much smaller thumb than his family members, and consequently was pushed away by his own mother. Thus he travelled round the gruesome wastelands of Bethnal Green, searching for a magic wasp.
Turns out he was in a local primary school, in the bin, reeling about with the apple cores.
And the wasp stung and stung his thumb, until it was the size of a large stubby green thing. But when the insect demanded €500, the Hitcher killed him with his own fresh flesh creation. Incidentally, said currency was the norm within the Mighty Boosh's setting, meaning a comeback series is now even less likely thanks to Brexit. After falling silently still again, he abruptly tells Howard to stop, because he needs a piss.
I'm gonna slash like a powerful horse.
And he does. Such urination power became a recurring gag for the onion-scented Kiwi.
Coming out of me like a yellow cable.
Oh, yeah!
Fuck this shit, Professor!
Realising he still has Baboo's box in the van, Howard discards it, but then reguards it, and seemingly voluntarily falls inside it, which leads to what each episode of the show contained. A short musical number, featuring his fellow expired polos, the Piper Twins.
Trapped in a box by a cockney nut job. Have a cup of tea, have a cup of tea.
I use voodoo if I choose to. I harness the forces of evil to abuse you with
Soon
power.
joined by Vince, the Hitcher reveals the box contains a zoo for animal offenders.
The Nazi turtle. A Shire horse with over 37 parking tickets.
Don't forget Terry, the kleptomaniac eel.
Eels up inside, yeah! Find an entrance where I can!
Not now, Nigel.
I'm gonna slice you up.
His reason for doing so is simply to provide some food for the animals. Now you might be thinking, surely there has to be a more logical course of action than that. Shut your noise, boy. This is the Boosh. Howard's last request is to listen to some slap bass one last time. Much to the chagrin of Vince, Baboo gladly agrees, as he won the title of Slap Bass President, formerly belonging to Mark King. They are saved by Ivan, the hairy carpet guy.
The bear? Well, yeah, if you want to use the Latin.
Who was the animal they were transporting in the van parked beside the box, and as set up at the start of the episode, the bear goes savage whenever he hears Howard's favourite tunes.
You'll never catch me, way, I'm off!
Now, onwards to the 4th episode of Series 2, On Stranger Tides, alternatively titled Fountain of Youth. Incidentally, the Hitcher is never referred to as Baboo Yagu again, nor is he actually called the Hitcher until the 2006 live show. But we'll keep calling him the Hitcher since, aside from the thumb size, it's exactly the same character. Plus it's a lot easier to say than Green Man Witch. In search of the famed youth juice, the Shoreditch vampire and the beanbag on 2 hosepipes travel to their friend Naboo the Shaman's home planet, where Vince is hailed as their new ruler, as he is holding their sacred amulet, which they nicked from Naboo.
I love the chosen one, loving him is lots of fun. We love the chosen one, not as much as me.
Meanwhile, at the UKIP party headquarters, the Hitcher and his bird sidekick, not voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, and one of the Piper twins, are struggling with the crystal ball they stole from the Hokage. Feasting his eyes upon Vince's amulet, he doth proclaim,
Hallelujah!
and states that he'll use it to access the Fountain of Youth, which will somehow lead to him massing an army and taking over the world.
I love you, boss.
Shut up and put the tea on.
Oh, here's a thought. Supposing you drank from the Fountain of Youth. That means you'll never die, right? But supposing a week or 2 or next Thursday after partaking in said elixir, you're leapfrogging your way across the motorway when you get hit by a lorry delivering bread to Scotland. Would that kill you, or would you just reform like the second Terminator? Comment below and let me know. Ow! An Arabian bucksheesh convinces Howard, who has been made a slave for insulting Papa Smurf, to steal the amulet, while Amy Winehouse's sexier brother is asleep.
When this whole thing's over, we could go out for a meal.
I don't think so, Squire.
I guess instead of the Hitcher, his name in this episode should have been Shifter of Shapes, or Erection Killer.
The Fountain of Youth! It's all like here now, boy.
Applying the amulet to the stopcock. Stop. The Hitcher is about to take a shower when the protagonists arrive, so he stalls them by conjuring up the most fiendish adversary Graham Chapman ever faced, Evil Tree.
Don't panic! Don't panic!
But they are saved by the DIY demon Sandman, a former adversary who Vince helped by giving him a pair of gloves, allowing him to experience the joy and harmony of masturbating.
Mama cut me flower, watch me shower!
And with one flush of a conveniently placed toilet, the evil cockney is vanquished.
You've liquefied me, you slag!
The Hitcher's third appearance in the series shouldn't even count really, as not only is it just a cameo, but it is one without rhyme or reason. In The Nightmare of Milky Joe, the 6th episode of the second series, Howard and Vince are trapped on a small deserted island after they are booted off a ship because Vince gave the captain a mullet haircut. They start to pretend coconuts on sticks are real people, but things take a dark turn when Howard accidentally kills his nagging wife, and the coconuts come to life, sentencing them to the Hitcher's coconut stall.
Roll up, roll up! Everyone's a winner!
Why the Hitcher? Bob Fossil probably would have made more sense, since they work for him. As the title spoils, I mean foreshadows, it was just a dream. Or was it? The Mighty Boosh Live mixed the two plots of Barrett and Fielding's earlier plays, Arctic Boosh and Auto Boosh.
I am Dr. Henry J., sexually frustrated puppet fucker.
A familiar-looking box is delivered by a familiar-looking Yankee. And after Howard's curiosity gets the better of him, a familiar-sounding song steams out.
Let me put you in the picture, creeping in your room in the dead of night, with me solo polo vision. That's right! I'm a cockney geezer, watch me bleed you, I'll do the ripper when he wants just a nipper.
We meet a slightly newer version of the character who claims to have been trapped in the box for 200 years. Which seems a lot more plausible than the idea of the box being home to a zoo.
200 years, Brixton, for crimes against humanity. Or raped a dolphin.
Time to work in some running gags. What's it gonna be? The act of peeing, shape-shifting, or tropical nuts?
Oh yeah! Oh, fuck yeah! Oh, it's good! Drink down my fucking cockney urine, you BBC-free weirdos!
But the Hitcher's soliloquy is interrupted by the owner of the shop, Baboo, played by Noel Fielding's brother.
Who are you?
They call me the Hitcher.
A nickname which makes little to no sense unless you've seen the first episode, which, like seemingly every series of the Mighty Boosh, isn't kept within continuity. Maybe he was named after that slasher movie, or as a suggestion title for what Alfred Hitchcock's film should be abbreviated to.
Sniping's a good job, mate.
Shit! Take care, Aladdin, I'm off to Oxton to get some pie and mash.
The Hitcher makes off with all the euros in the shop's till, leaving the heroes to go in search of the Ruby of Kukundu, and nearly an hour later, after they have returned with the jewel, just as Bolo the gorilla is about to use it to bring Naboo back to life...
Every boo goes to making my erection a little bit stronger. Hand over that euro. Boy, looks like it could be worth a few rubies to me.
Oh no, that was the wrong way round, wasn't it?
I needed to bring little Naboo back to life.
Guess what?
But worse than that, the Hitcher's most scarring crime is telling Bolo he hasn't got the lead part in the King Kong remake.
If it ain't the geezer who likes to spit in other people's faces.
Context? Hitcher then reveals he has also killed Howard and Vince, because he saw Howard using a trumpet sock, and he caught Vince with 6 items in the Topshop changing cubicles.
6 items? You're only allowed 4, you slag! So I chopped his head off, and I fucked his stump. Jesus, it's like Woodstock meets Tour de France.
Rudy, the High Priest of the Order of the Psychedelic Monks, who is the one who directed Vince to the location of the ruby in a previous scene, like the Hitcher, had a few alterations to his costume from screen to stage. Notably, his black face. The two duel until the Hitcher's sticky tape comes loose. So he takes a leaf out of the Bobby Hill self-defense method.
Oh, my fiery biscuit. When in doubt, ladies and gentlemen, release the middle digit.
It seems all is lost, until Big Leg arrives. Context?
I was in this detective show in the U.S. called Big Leg.
Big Leg has a big fucking leg. I hate whites.
With the cast alive and floating, it's time for the third and final series of the show, where the Hitcher appears in the first of its episodes. Like with his debut scene, it features just Howard and he, and like the live show, takes place in Naboo's Naboo-tique. Beginning about midway through the episode, Howard tries to interest the Hitcher in one of his elbow patches that he has spent the first half of the plot trying to sell.
We've even got our own organic supermarket.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
That was a bad time for you, wasn't it, boy?
The Hitcher talks about how the Naboo-tique used to be a pie and mash shop, which leads to him singing a little ballad about
Eels up inside ya, find an entrance where they can.
Not now, Nigel!
Well, when can I do my Hitcher impression? You slag!
How about when hell freezes over?
Apples and pears! Okie dokie then. You slag! Oh, I'm a cockney, Oh, get back down, Bethnal Green, I am.
Yes, eels, or black wangers as he describes them, but apart from scarring Howard for life with tales of his favourite cuisine, his purpose to the plot is the old you pay me a large sum of cash every week and I won't brutally assault you. Such a rip-off of that one Steptoe and Son episode.
And if you don't like that transaction, I'll jab you in the gums with my screwdriver.
The character's performance is a lot more genuinely frightening here, despite the fact he looked a hell of a lot more frightening with his face full of prosthetics.
Let's ring Naboo, he'll know what to do.
I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it.
But Naboo is on a stag do with the wizard version of the Justice League.
I'm shit-faced!
To raise the €1,000 the Peppermint Nightmare requested, Vince comes up with a brilliant scheme. Prostitution!
Oh, look, I'm sorry. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again.
Vince, you've been working with Howard for 10 years. Surely you must know by now, he doesn't like to be touched.
Don't touch me.
Such a joker.
Yeah.
He's always saying stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Don't ever touch me.
Never touch me, okay? Not when we're on stage, not when we're off stage, backstage, not when we're out buying hammocks.
Don't touch me.
Despite now being in possession of €1,000, the Hitcher still plans to slice up the trendy wankers, because he hates all that is new rave. Howard and Vince are saved by Bob Fossil's sister, and the Hitcher is saved by the elbow patch he stole earlier.
You see, when I was lying down on the floor, I had something of an epiphany. Young people like yourselves aren't interested in eels and Victorian nonsense. I've become obsolete. I might as well go and run my head over with a truck. Sorry to trouble you.
All is forgiven, and to cheer the Cockney nutjob up about his disdain for the modern era, they join him in a funky reprise. The final official Mighty Boosh project was in 2009, the Future Sailors Tour, and for a swan song, this was kind of a lame duck. There are definitely funny moments, but for me it contained too much random without successful payoffs. And I was most displeased to hear that the seemingly spontaneous bits like Julian almost falling while performing as Tony Harrison, and the funny things he said in regards to that situation, were actually rehearsed. And while I always liked Bob Fossil, or rather Rich Fulcher's antics in the TV series and live, here they laid an egg for me. A lame duck egg. Anyway, the Hitcher shows up at the end of the first half to insult the audience.
Imagine how weak the show will be if I fuck off. Imagine what an improvement it will be if you do.
Oh, damn son, you just got hitched.
Little high five, mate, little high five? I don't think so. What I propose to do now is set fire to you, love. Only joking, we ain't got time.
Thanks to the lighting crew, he's also a lot greener here than in the previous live show, and after introducing the 3 Piper twins, he sings possibly the best love song out of the Mighty Boosh catalogue of 20.
How do you love me? I played your love games with me.
Only joking. This is the real song he sings.
The cavalcade, the jamboree of life I thought was meant for me. I never dreamed that it would be replaced by this eternity of isolation.
Only joking, but that is one of the best songs in the series. And it sums up my life so well.
Oh, boo fucking who! I'm Jeffrey Kitch. I've got feelings. Ugh. Eels.
The tune is padded out for about 6 minutes, with a bit of banter that, like most of the Future Sailors tour, just misses the mark of being funny and lands on awkwardly tedious.
Get this shit out of my way.
For me, I'm sure all the die-hard Boosh fans love this concert.
Yeah, in general to their previous work, it wasn't as good. Oh, the minty goodness! Goose polio!
Gay!
As only 3 seasons of the television series were made, which even for a British show is quite a low amount, fans have been desperate for a return of the double act that was Barrett and Fielding. A Mighty Boosh movie was announced as a possibility, but as for a return to the small screen, Julian had this to say.
Never know. Things are happening, things are brewing.
You mean no?
Since 2009, the former stand-up comedian has had a few minor and starring roles in movies no one has ever heard of, and recently swapped Noel for Olivia Colman in the comedy-drama series Flowers. Meanwhile, Noel was a member of the panel show Nevermind the Buzzcocks for 6 years, has appeared on several quiz shows, and his own creation Luxury Comedy, a considerably familiar to the Boosh's style show, which featured a recurring character, Sergeant Jaundice Boombox, who I'm only mentioning because he reminds me of this video's subject character.
Why would anyone in their right mind want a book? Oh, that is quite nice. How much do you want for this, boy?
69 euros?
I'll give you 100. I'm going to play with that when I get home.
There are many elements of the character I find instantly funny the moment he creeps into mind. His wobbly voice, his Mad Hatter gone toxic costume, and his stream of silly sadistic sayings.
I'll rule the universe! An army of green bitches!
Only time will tell whether Fielding and Barrett ever return to the Boosh. Though don't ask me why my Scooby-Doo clock is retaining this information. Get it? Time will tell.
Gay!
But in the event they do, I'll drink a pint of Barocca mixed with cockney urine, if they promise it will feature the heavyweight cock-punching champion of Brixton.
The cockney cock puncher. He punches one way, he punches the other, he punches diagonal. He's like Connect 4 in cock punching terms.
This is Jeffrey Kitch saying, making this video has put me in the mood for some eel pie. No, it really hasn't.
Elements of the past and the future combining to make something that's not quite as good as either.
Let me put you in the picture.
My next character chronicles will be on the moon from the mighty Boosh. Is this your handwriting, Nigel?
Some people say that Greg is like a fish finger, but imagine that fish finger is as big as a garage. Oh, it's a big one. I'm the moon. I don't pay fucking dental fees.